Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to be dealing with the topic, how is poverty a form of social exclusion? Illustrate in this connection the different dimensions of poverty and social exclusion. This is a 20 marker question from the 2023 mains. Now, what are the keywords that we have used in this question? There is poverty, social exclusion, and the dimensions. The directive word that is used here is illustrate. What does that mean, illustrate? It means that we are to explain with examples and detailed examples to highlight the various dimensions and impact of poverty as social exclusion. So, what are we going to do for this answer? What does the examiner expect out of us? Well, first of all, a clear understanding of how poverty manifests, meaning takes form as a form of social exclusion. Examples and relevant sociological thinkers wherever we have that to fit in, and an organized approach pointing out the multiple dimensions of poverty, showing the broad impact of social exclusion. So let's get started with this answer. What can we write in the starting part introduction? We would like to highlight in the introduction paragraph that poverty is a form of social exclusion and that poverty restricts, meaning limits access to resources and participation in society, right? Marginalizing individuals and communities. So we are going to say that it is multidimensional in nature, impacting various different domains: economic, social, cultural, and political aspects of life. So the first paragraph is going to be the introductory paragraph for us. And in this introductory paragraph, we are going to basically highlight poverty as a form of social exclusion, pointing out that it is multidimensional, right? Has various different domains of impact. Okay. So moving on, we're going to say that there are multiple different dimensions of poverty and social exclusion. First of all, being economic exclusion. And what is economic exclusion? When people are in poverty, then they have limited access to good quality jobs. So the kind of jobs they have access to are often insecure jobs, informal sector jobs, and they do not have access to social security measure within those jobs. These are random hiring and firing jobs. These jobs could be in the gig economy today, a lot of them. These jobs could be in the informal sector in general. And so resultantly, they are trapped in these economically marginalized positions. The second aspect we're going to say is educational exclusion. So when people are poor, they lack access to good quality education, and literacy and skills are impacting their future employment prospects. Another dimension apart from economic and educational is exclusion from safe housing. Here, poverty forces individuals to live in polluted or high risk areas without proper green spaces or proper infrastructure. These are areas where there is high environmental liability and little environmental assets to go around, and naturally predispose people to a high risk of contracting diseases right from that area, and lifestyle disorders definitely. Then we're going to come around and say exclusion from healthcare. The poor people often lack access to nutritional diets, to safe environments, to quality medical care, and the medical costs may be too high. All of these together create shock events. Shock events. Shock events are medical emergencies in the families of poor people which have high costs, and the cost is often borne out of pocket expenditure, and that results in a significant pushback event, right? Pushes people down below the poverty line. Then we're going to mention social and cultural exclusion. So we have Pierre Bourdieu, right? Pierre Bourdieu, who had given the concept of habitus. Habitus being the idea which consists of the economic and the social and the cultural capital taken together. Economic capital refers to income or wealth. Social capital refers to the educational attainment and the information networks that people have. And cultural capital refers to the cultural status, knowledge of culture, and the ascribed statuses that individuals have, right? Which are like, their gender status sometimes and their caste status, their social status, and things that provide them this symbolic capital where people can be identified by their class markers often. So Pierre Bourdieu says that lack of access to cultural capital such as language or education, like in India, English is not just another language, it is a symbol of high status in India. And maybe 50-60% or sometimes more of the qualifying interview for a job candidate in many areas, let's just even like just IT industry, is often whether you are presentable and whether you're speaking good English. And for a lot of kind of service sector jobs, the job door just opens because of that. So English is more than a language. It's often a symbol or status or class marker, and it opens doors of privileged areas for people. Now, exclusion from law and order. When people are poor, they're not able to access justice because it takes money to access justice, to file cases, to be able to pursue your right to life, which may be just theoretical. So there's a lot of people who are not able to afford bail because they're not able to prove their relationship to property or not able to fill the bail amount that is asked by the court to put. And so they remain in jail despite them being arrested for petty offenses and bail being a right for them. Right. So what that does is that when you're poor, it means that the law and order system does not work efficiently for you. Political exclusion. So in terms of political exclusion, often people who are poor are underrepresented in essential decision making processes. They're not able to get their issues communicated. Let's just say if there is between Make in India and easing of the rules with regards to labor laws, and on the other hand, the rights of labor unions, right, as championed by unions. If there is a dispute between these two, industry and union rights, then industry may have much more capacity to represent its own interests, right, in contrast to the labor unions or the laborers who are not even unionized. Right. What are we saying? The poor often lack effective access to decision making processes and to lobbying. The industry, the rich people often have that way better. And so, with this answer, what we've said is various different things. We've pointed out economic exclusion, we've pointed out educational exclusion. Okay. All right. So we pointed out educational exclusion, and exclusion from safe housing, and from healthcare, and social and cultural exclusion, and exclusion from law and order, and then political exclusion. So these are various different dimensions that we've spoken about. In the conclusion, what we can say is that all of these various different forms of exclusion create a cycle, an overwhelming set of conditions which trap people into poverty. They reinforce broader patterns of social inequality and increase the amount of effort that it would take for somebody to escape out of poverty, thereby creating this cyclical trap where people continue to remain trapped in poverty. Right. So in order to access the model answer, right, you can just down click on the description in this video provided below, and you can click the model answer. And please do subscribe and like and share. Thank you so much.